The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci, one of Leonardo da Vinci's most recognizable paintings. The Last Supper was painted on the wall of the monastery of Santa Maria della Grazia in Milan. Commissioned by the Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza, The Last Supper was painted in the late 15th century at an impressive size measuring 4.6 by 8.8 meters. The main subject of the mural is that of Jesus and his 12 apostles, seated side by side at a table, celebrating Passover, and what would be the Last Supper. The moment painted is that of Christ's final meal with his apostles, at a critical moment when Jesus stated that one of his apostles would betray him. The reaction and emotions on their faces are what makes the painting even more captivating. The scene is not a frozen moment, but rather a representation of successive movements. Composition. The painting is unique in that the feel of drama and excitement is evident and observable. Paintings in the past were more static, as figures were painted more stiffly with less human emotions expressed. Jesus is shown as the main focus of the composition, as he is central, this image emphasized by the white light coming from the background window behind him. The figures are shown in the foreground, with the perspective disappearing behind them. Light seems to focus centrally on Jesus, and light recedes away from Jesus, as we see the apostles at the end of the table, and the back of the room are more dimmed. The apostles are in 4 groups of 3, on either side of Jesus, appearing to be in conversation, as shown by how they gesture to each other. The rich colors Da Vinci used, vibrant red and blue, for Jesus' robes, also make him stand out compared to the more sedate use of colors of the apostles. Jesus' facial expression is serene, in contrast to the agitated faces of the apostles. Technical properties. The Last Supper was not painted using traditional fresco technique. Fresco painting is a method of painting using water-based pigments on a freshly applied plaster, usually on wall surfaces where the painter must work fast while the plaster is wet. Instead, Da Vinci used a different technique where he used tempera, or oil paint, on 2 layers of dry surface, as he did not want to work quickly. However, this resulted in the pigment not attaching permanently to the wall surface, and the painting began to flake within a few years. Societal influences. One of the main social influences during this time that would have affected Da Vinci's thought process is humanism. Humanism is an outlook where the importance of being human was more important than being divine. Another aspect of humanism is portraying Jesus without a halo, as was previously painted in older paintings. Instead, Da Vinci uses the natural light from background window to serve this role. Using nature rather than supernatural designs, Da Vinci may be suggesting that Jesus is still in his human form before his resurrection. Today, many attempts have been made to try and restore the painting, the most recent being in 1999. It has undergone damage from environmental and human factors. The painting remains fragile, and visitation is allowed to very small groups of visitors at a time. Leonardo da Vinci was the true Renaissance man, as he was knowledgeable in all things, relying not only on inspiration but also on formulas and proportions to structure his work. From the idea to the composition to the technical execution, The Last Supper reveals Da Vinci's personality that shows he is constantly trying to experiment and discover new ideas. The painting is a masterful achievement in that it shows movement, emotion, and realism. Thank you. This is Tristan. As quoted by Giorgio Vasari, Leonardo imagined and has succeeded in expressing the desire that has entered the minds of the apostles to know who is betraying their master.